Michael, there's a train track less than a mile ahead.
As long as there's no train.
That's precisely my point. There is.
We all remember Knight Rider, the 1982 TV show that featured Michael Knight, played by the unforgettable David Hasselhoff, and his high-tech partner KITT, a talking car with crime-fighting capabilities and futuristic gadgets. The story focuses on a police officer who, after being brutally shot, is brought back with a new identity and a new face and is now tasked to stop criminals with the help of a cool-looking artificial intelligence car. However, there are 20 weird facts about the show that we'll reveal in this video. Let's get into it. Number 20. The original story of Knight Rider started as a joke. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, Hollywood producer Glenn Larson created several classic TV shows such as Battlestar Galactica, Magnum P.I., and Buck Rogers in the 25th century. In the early 1980s, Larson came up with the idea of remaking the classic movie and radio serial Lone Ranger for the contemporary audience. Instead of a Western, the show would take place in the modern day with a lone hero fighting injustice, helped only by his trusty ride. Brandon Tartikoff, the head of National Broadcasting Company programming at the time, tells a more entertaining version of this origin story. According to him, TV executives at the time complained about the challenges of producing a show around the handsome male lead who couldn't act. As a joke, Tartikoff offered them an idea of The Man of Six Words, a show in which the hero would speak only several phrases such as "thank you," "freeze," and "okay," while the rest of the talking would be done by his car. Either way, NBC executives loved the idea and approved it for development. Number 19. KITT was based on a real car, but it wasn't a supercar. The iconic KITT car used in the show was based on the 1982 Pontiac Trans Am, and while it looked super futuristic on the show, the actual car in real life was pretty standard. What we mean is that the car didn't come with any special tech. There wasn't any turbo boost, no artificial intelligence, and it wasn't even a talking car. The producers of the show had to get creative to turn that basic car into the star it became. They installed lights, built custom dashboards, and added all kinds of fake buttons to make it look high-tech. Here's a twist. The red scanner light on KITT's front was inspired by the Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, another show created by Glenn Larson, the producer of Knight Rider. He reused the visual idea to give KITT a living effect that showed its awareness and personality. Fans ended up loving it so much that it became one of the most recognizable parts of the car. For scenes when KITT had to appear to drive itself, the designer George Barris created a right-seat driving position inside the onset car that dipped below the dashboard. From the passenger side, a stunt driver was then placed in a special seat that sat low enough to avoid detection on camera, but high enough to see where he was going. This was all part of Barris's job on the show. In addition to creating a more unique look for KITT in later seasons, he was also in charge of creating different models of the car, all for the sake of specific stunts that could make for more unique action sequences. He added spoilers, scoops, new nosework, and more dramatic lighting just to distinguish KITT from a standard Trans Am and also upgrade its realism. The new version set Knight Rider's trademark set of wheels apart from anything else on the road. Behind the scenes, the production team even had several versions of KITT for different stunts. Some were gutted to be light for the flying effect, while others were just camera cars. Weird, right? Number 18. KITT was never actually street legal. Did you know that the iconic talking car KITT was never a street-legal vehicle? That's right, Universal Studios built KITT prototypes on 1982 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am bodies. The car had heavy modifications, a custom spoiler, scanner light, a new dashboard made with heavy fiberglass, and electronic gear. However, most of these cars were wrecks from a train derailment, even though Pontiac supposedly gave studio cars for just $1 each. This means that only the hero car earned top billing while the others were just stunt vehicles or spares, and none of those cars were ever legally registered. The film crew used stunts, mounting KITT on flatbeds or towing it while filming close-ups. As a result, production never needed license plates or DMV approval. So the talking car that Michael Knight relied on was technically illegal in real life and couldn't be used on any public road. The reality is truly weird. The most famous car on TV was the wrong kind of car for the road. The illusion portrayed by the car worked beautifully on screen. KITT raced, chatted, and flirted with danger, but off-camera, it was just a steel on rollers and wires. Even William Daniels, the voice of KITT, never sat in the actual driver's seat. He recorded lines later, often in less than an hour per episode, while Hasselhoff had a stand and off-camera feed him the lines during filming. Number 17, KITT almost had a different name. KITT stands for Knight Industries 2000 and was named so based on the car's fictional creator, Wilton Knight. However, this was not the initial working title for the smart car. Early in development, the car's label stood for Trans Am 2000 because it was based on a Pontiac Trans Am. However, producer Glenn Larson decided Knight Industries 2000 sounded more heroic, and that's how the car became known by the abbreviation KITT. Glenn Larson envisioned Knight Rider as a modern cowboy epic where Michael Knight roams the country fighting injustice, with KITT as his high-tech partner. In his mind, the show was a mashup of The Lone Ranger and sci-fi. Hence, the new name was more fitting, and it shaped how fans perceived the car. KITT sounds sleek, technical, and futuristic. TAT, not so much. The upgrade in branding matched the upgrade in intent. This went a long way to portray that it wasn't just a cool car, but a crime-fighting artificial intelligence buddy. That stronger identity helped Knight Rider stand out in the unpredictable 80s TV landscape. So next time you hear William Daniels say, "I'm the voice of KITT," remember that the name almost never happened. Number 16. William Daniels fought for KITT to have more of a personality. William Daniels is the voice behind KITT, but when he first began working on the show, the producers wanted a purely robotic voice, but the actor objected. He wanted the car to have human expression, and he believed a car that could think and talk should also feel alive. The showrunners agreed and the script was edited. So instead of stiff and artificial delivery, Daniels read the lines with emotion, using his natural voice. KITT gained humor, emotion, and attitude as Daniels lent personality to the lines. That level of credibility made audiences buy into the fantasy that the car wasn't just high-tech. And without Daniels' insistence, KITT could have been a silly prop, not a beloved character. So all the credit for KITT sounding charming and witty goes to him. Number 15. KITT's voice actor William Daniels never met David Hasselhoff during the show. One of the most surprising facts about Knight Rider is that, though William Daniels, the voice of KITT, and David Hasselhoff made for a formidable duo on screen, they were never even in the same room together while the show was being made. Crazy, right? That's exactly what happened. The man behind the car's smooth and intelligent voice recorded all his lines separately, usually in a sound booth long after the scenes were filmed. He used the scripts of only KITT's pages, paired with Hasselhoff's lines, and would just record his replies to the dialogue. He didn't even spend much time doing that. He used less than 45 minutes per episode to deliver the voiceovers. On set, Hasselhoff couldn't see him, only heard a stand-in reading KITT's lines via the car stereo, which he replies to while acting. It's even more impressive considering the incredible chemistry between KITT and Michael Knight. Their banter felt so real that most viewers assumed the two actors worked side by side. The first time Michael Daniels and Hasselhoff finally met was at the show's Christmas party. It was some months after the show had started airing, and by that time, Knight Rider was already an established hit. Hasselhoff recalled the moment clearly. "A guy walks over to my table and goes, 'Hi, I'm William Daniels. I play KITT.' Hasselhoff replied, 'Oh, I'm David Hasselhoff and I play Michael.' Just like that, Daniels smiled and said, 'Oh, we have a hit, don't we?' Hasselhoff went on to joke about how he had spent 4 years talking to a car that talked back, but he never met the man inside. It was a remarkable moment. That simple exchange was their very first conversation. Number 14. William Daniels isn't credited on the show as the voice of KITT. If you watched Knight Rider back in the day, you must have noticed that William Daniels' name was not included in the opening and ending credits, and you must have wondered why. That's because he wasn't listed. It wasn't an oversight. His name was omitted intentionally. Daniels was a respected stage and screen actor, and he wanted to keep his work on Knight Rider strictly as a voice actor. He didn't even want his name listed in the opening credits, so he chose to remain anonymous throughout the show's entire run. Do you know what his reason was? He wanted to preserve the illusion that KITT was a real living machine, and he believed that if people knew who the voice actor was, it might take away the mystery of KITT's character. Daniels believed the magic of the show would be stronger if the audience didn't associate the car with a real human voice. For a while it worked, but the plan didn't last forever. As the show gained massive popularity, viewers started recognizing Daniels by his voice alone. Fans were shocked to discover that he was the anonymous voice behind the car. Strangers would stop him on the street and call him KITT, even though his face never appeared on the show. Notwithstanding, the decision to keep the voice actor anonymous had already helped elevate the character of KITT beyond just being a talking car. To fans, KITT felt like a true partner and not a puppet. Daniel's voice gave the car its charm, wit, and intelligence, and even though he didn't appear on camera, he was every bit as important to Knight Rider's success as Hasselhoff. Eventually, Daniels became more comfortable acknowledging his role, especially as fans continued to adore KITT long after the series ended. It's weird to think that one of the most iconic voices in television history started off trying to hide in plain sight. So if you're wondering who was behind the unforgettable voice of the car and brought it to life, it was William Daniels. The mystery of his anonymity then only made KITT cooler. Number 13, most KITT cars came from a train wreck. When production needed multiple KITT cars to use as props, General Motors sold damaged 1982 Trans Ams to the studio for $1 each. These wrecked cars were from derailed train cargo and served as stunt vehicles or spares. It was only the main car, which was used as hero car, that got the full custom buildup with detailed dashboard and nose alterations. Michael Sheffa made the modifications, which cost around $100,000. The rest of the cars used were cheaper fiberglass stunt shells or stripped frames used for jumps, flips, and collisions. One version was a lightweight buggy with a KITT shell used just for ramp jumps. It was so light that it made the jumps look impressive on camera. While 25 cars were made, most of them were eventually destroyed after filming. A few of the original KITTs that survived ended up in museums or private collections. However, it's weird to think the most iconic car on TV was built from wrecks and we never realized it. Number 12. The Turbo Boost was created post-production. You know that Turbo Boost feature that allowed the car KITT to leap over obstacles into the air? That jaw-dropping stunt wasn't planned from the start. It was often added in post-production, meaning they were created after the initial footage was filmed, allowing for adjustments and improvements to the final look. During early episodes, producers needed an exciting cliffhanger. They made use of a jump sequence shot for another show, edited in slow-mo, included a fiery trail of exhaust and other visual enhancements to create the illusion of a powerful high-speed jump, and called it Turbo Boost. The audience loved the cinematic flair, so the show writers wove Turbo Boost into KITT's feature list, making it an on-screen capability. Turbojet, speed of light, auto cruise, all in one high-tech package. Stunt coordinators had to replicate the boost. Teams built ramps precisely angled to launch the fiberglass car shell. Safety drivers positioned inside handled steering and braking, and afterwards the footage was incorporated into the scene. The real Trans Am used as the hero car was never used for flying stunts because it was too risky. Over time, producers added sound effects and computer-generated imagery enhancements in later seasons to intensify the boost's look. The Turbo Boost became popular and was used in parodies, cartoons, video games, even toy kits, and adverts included it. That singular effect went on to become Knight Rider's signature move, a black Trans Am flying over cars or barriers with sound and slow-motion drama. It is part of the reason Michael Knight and KITT became legends of 80s television. Number 11. The Evil Twin. David Hasselhoff had a twin on Knight Rider, but not the kind you would expect. Throughout its 4 seasons run, Knight Rider mostly stayed away from the recurring villains. However, there's an exception in the 2-part Season 2 story Goliath and Goliath Returns. David Hasselhoff played both Michael Knight and villain Garth Knight, and that is why it's described by the oldest of soap opera cliches, an evil twin. Garth is the biological son of the late billionaire Wilton Knight, and it was his face that the billionaire used as a model for Michael's face reconstruction after his accident. This means that Michael was now looking exactly like Garth. Creepy, right? It's the kind of decision that psychoanalysis was invented to study. Garth Knight spent years imprisoned somewhere in Africa, and when he returns home, he isn't too happy to find out that his father is gone and his face stolen. Sporting a goatee like all evil twins do, Garth steals technologies used to make KITT and builds himself an armored truck called Goliath. Naturally, Michael defeats him, but not before plenty of hammy acting by the Hoff. Garth returns late in the 2nd season, but this was his last appearance as Hasselhoff, unfortunately, found playing dual roles to be too strenuous. Number 10. The Evil Twin Car. We're still on the subject of evil twins. Everyone remembers KITT, but did you remember that there was also an evil version called KR? It's an acronym for Knight Automated Roving Robot. a prototype version of KITT. It had the same voice modulation as KITT and even the same scanner, but its programming was flawed. KARR is put into storage after its designers realized that its central processing unit is unstable and that it was more concerned with its preservation than with the protection of human life. That made it dangerous and unpredictable. KARR appeared in 2 episodes of Knight Rider. In the first episode, KARR is accidentally activated by a duo of thieves and manipulated into helping them. It stole KITT's turbo processor and attempted to murder Michael Knight. In its later appearance, KARR is now fully bent on revenge against KITT and Michael. The KITT versus KARR war involves the 2 cars battling in a snowy ghost town. The chilly atmosphere and tense standoff showed how dangerous programming without empathy could be. The designers built KARR on the same Pontiac Trans Am prototype, but it looked slightly different from KITT. It had a black and silver paint job and an amber scanner light at the front. Inside the dashboard, fewer lights and no photo sensor gave it a stripped-down, sinister look. Its scanner pulsed irregularly instead of smooth sweeps, and it flickered erratically. That visual cue made viewers feel something was off, even before KARR spoke. Its voice was provided at first by Peter Cullen, who voiced Optimus Prime in the Transformers, and later by the actor Paul Frees. The voiceover for the KARR character was recorded with a colder tone and more robotic pacing. KARR showed the show could explore duality, the heroic artificial intelligence versus its damaged twin. Audience reactions called it genuinely unsettling. Knight Rider was pushing darker edges beyond Saturday afternoon fun with those episodes. That storyline raised the stakes, and it remains one of the series' most chilling arcs. Number 9. The Evil Twin and the Evil Twin KARR never joined forces. Viewers saw Garth, the evil twin, plotting against Michael from prison and taunting him. However, interestingly, Garth and KARR, the evil KARR, never teamed up. Reddit fans note that though both were evil twins, they didn't collaborate to take down the hero together. As for narrative, Garda's existence underscored the dangers of identity theft, in which we see the son of the founder becoming Michael's rival. Yet notoriously, Garda never joins forces with KARR, leaving the hero to tackle threats one at a time. So Michael's most direct enemy shared his face, but never his allies. Garda and KARR remained separate threats. That might sound like missed synergy, but maybe mixing human evil with rogue AI would have deviated from the theme of the show. Instead, Knight Rider kept each menace special and each confrontation personal. Hasselhoff, however, requested that the Garda storyline end after Season 2 because, according to him, it took too much time to shoot both characters in feature-length quality episodes. So the doppelganger arc was short-lived, though memorable. This odd twist shows that Knight Rider experimented with dual identities but never let chaos reign. Number 8. KITT inspired today's voice assistants. What the KITT was able to pull off in 1982 is very similar to what Siri and Alexa are doing now. That is, voice control, personality, and even humor. Glenn A. Larson helped pave that path with his sci-fi cowboy vision. KITT was a functional supercar that jested, teased, and cared about Michael's feelings. In Knight Rider, KITT could start the engine, open doors, switch modes, navigate to locations, and report diagnostics. It did all these by voice command. He could also diagnose injuries like analyzing Michael's vital signs, scanning structural schematics, monitoring radio signals, and computing trajectories for turbo boost. It was an artificial intelligence assistant before the term even existed. William Daniels made that human touch in KITT's character possible. The result is that it became one of TV's first smart assistants with emotional intelligence. Today, we ask devices to set reminders, tell us the weather, and even respond with personality. That conversational interface imitates KITT's intuitive style. Even though Knight Rider ended, its core idea, which is being a talking, helpful, slightly sassy companion, can still be felt in any KARR voice assistant today. If you pay close attention, you will notice that the scanner, the phrases, and the caring tone are all familiar. Number 7. The theme music borrowed a ballet melody. We can all admit that the Knight Rider opening theme is insanely catchy. It is one of the best the 80s has to offer. But its roots go further back than the synth stylings it embraces. The theme music was borrowed from a classical ballet, Cortège de Bacchus from Act 3 of Sylvia, a 19th-century ballet by Leo Delibes. Delibes' music impressed Tchaikovsky himself, and here it inspired one of television's most memorable tunes nearly a century later. The theme was created by Stu Phillips, a favorite composer of the show's producer, Glenn Larson. Larson recalled in a bonus material that he remembered the melody and transformed it into a sci-fi riff, using synthesizers, drums, and Fender basses. Phillips then composed a driving version that feels modern but echoes its romantic roots. Over the years, the song has been sampled by some artists, including Busta Rhymes and Lil' Kim. The music legacy of Knight Rider doesn't stop there either. Emboldened by his success as a TV star, David Hasselhoff embarked on a music career in the mid-1980s. His biggest hit by far was a corny pop song called "Looking for Freedom." Naturally, the music video for the song prominently featured footage from the Knight Rider TV show. The height of Hasselhoff's singing career came when he was invited to sing his greatest hit atop the Berlin Wall in 1989, just after the reunification of Germany. Even after Knight Rider ended in 1986, the theme is still being played in commercials, cartoons, and video games. 40 years later, fans still hum to the melody, and the dramatic drumbeat continues to evoke instant nostalgia. Music fans still note the classical origin, and amazingly, a TV action theme could be traced back to a 19th century piece. So the next time you hear that rolling synth march, remember that you're listening to a modern remix of a 19th century ballet. Number 6. KITT could fake damage on command. One of KITT's lesser-known abilities was the capacity to fake being damaged. In certain episodes, when KITT needed to go undercover, Michael Knight instructed the car to simulate dents, scratches, or broken panels to blend in as an ordinary vehicle. That feature wasn't in the script's early drafts. It was only added later when writers wanted the car to hide in plain sight among criminals. It was just practical trickery, but how did they make it work? During filming, lightweight fiberglass panels were swapped or cracked manually just before scenes. The kit would appear damaged, then Michael would hit a button, and voila, the next shot showed KITT immaculate and moving in stealth mode. These transitions required clever editing and continuity that transitioned from the car being battered to being spotless, so the audience believed in its auto-repair suggestion. That secretly boosted drama. When Michael said, "Pretend you're shot, but don't let them know you survive," fans saw the scam unfold on camera. The result was a believable deception tactic for a car with personality and mechanical ingenuity, one that elevated stakes without breaking suspension of disbelief. Remember that KITT wasn't just made of high tech, it could be clever, so faking its damage added depth to the show. With that feature, the car disguised itself, misled villains, and then restored itself. That's surprising storytelling tech for an early 80s show. Number 5. Glenn Larson got a huge profit from merchandise. Glenn Larson's business savvy and faith in his creation were rewarded beyond anyone's expectations. When he was negotiating his deal with Universal, he secured a significant portion of the merchandising rights. With Knight Rider's popularity sustaining for long after it went off the air, Larson profited handsomely. That move wasn't typical for writers or producers of the era. Larson admitted he had the best deal in the history of television. He had negotiated with the studio for 50-50 royalties on all spin-off products, toys, t-shirts, model cars, lunchboxes, and whatnot. As Knight Rider boomed internationally, Larson's share of die-cast kit sales, remote control cars, and collectibles turned into long-term passive income. These types of deals are virtually unheard of now. As Larson pointed out, it was just before studios realized how profitable merchandising could be. Number 4. Bonnie and April Barstow share the credit for KITT's inner workings. Few viewers know that Bonnie Barstow and April Curtis were the mechanics who maintained KITT's incredible systems. Bonnie, played by Patricia McPherson, was the original tech genius in seasons 1, 3, and 4. April, portrayed by Rebecca Stabb, filled that role briefly in season 2 before Bonnie returned due to fan demand. Both characters' expertise was always spoken of respectfully on screen, and the crime-fighting organization relied on their mechanical brains as much as Michael relied on the car. Interestingly, in fan trivia episodes, creators mentioned that Bonnie's insight saved KITT more than once. Number 3. The Knight Rider reboots. Knight Rider aired on the National Broadcasting Company from September of 1982 until April of 1986. Its cancellation didn't mean its end, though. In 1991, NBC aired a TV movie called Knight Rider 2000. Taking place in what is portrayed as the near future, the movie follows Michael Knight as he helps to train a new generation of crime fighters on how to use Knight 4000, a heavily modified 1991 Dodge Stealth. A second adaptation called Knight Rider 2010 came out in 1994. It had nothing to do with the original show and took place in the post-apocalyptic near future. There were two attempts to revive the show. The first one came in 1997 with Team Knight Rider, a TV show sequel following a whole group of crime fighters using various cars and motorcycles with distinctive artificial intelligence personalities. Although Team Knight Rider was canceled after its first season, a decade later, the National Broadcasting Company tried again, this time with a straightforward Knight Rider revival that even had David Hasselhoff do a little cameo in its pilot episode. Number 2. KITT features are still relevant in today's world. Imitation is the highest form of praise. It's no wonder that both car designers and drivers would want their vehicles to have at least some of KITT's gadgets. During the show's initial run in the 1980s, owners of Trans Am cars could buy special aftermarket kits and add KITT's scanner eye to their own cars. There are now annual conventions of Knight Rider fans, some of which lovingly remake old Pontiac Trans Ams to look like KITT. Long after the last episode aired in 1986, KITT's voice lived on. In the mid-2000s, Garmin released a GPS device that featured William Daniels' voice samples and KITT sound effects. Drivers across the globe could navigate their routes guided by commands like "Turn left in 2 minutes," delivered in the familiar voice they knew from Knight Rider. That wasn't all. KITT-themed ringtones became wildly popular. Composer Stu Philippus won a Broadcast Music Award for Most Downloaded Ringtone, beating even the Mission Impossible theme. Fans set their phones to beep and scanner pulses, hear KITT announce turbo boost, or say diagnostics about call reception and battery life. All these were direct callbacks to the show's classic lines. Thanks to advancements in technology, today we can imitate some of the more sophisticated devices presented in the show. Today, many drivers have GPS navigation systems in their cars similar to those in the TV show. Not only that, but they can also get one that features KITT's voice. Google has been experimenting with cars that can drive themselves and, similar to Knight Rider, be summoned by their owners using a simple electronic device. Meanwhile, Ford has been experimenting with inbuilt seat sensors that monitor the driver's heart rate and other vital signs. Finally, over the last decade or so, the European Union has begun pressing for all of its new cars to have collision avoidance sensors, not unlike those that KITT has in the TV show. This adopted technology proves that Knight Rider has transcended its nostalgic status to become an integral part of daily digital life for a new generation. Even now, fan conventions sometimes hand out GPS clips or ringtone files that still use the adaptation of KITT, albeit softly through phone speakers, not engines. Number 1. We still have the original KITT car used in the Knight Rider show. Firstly, it is believed that a total of 25 KITT cars were made for filming the series, but only 23 are confirmed. Out of these 23, all but one car remained in use until the show's cancellation. Sadly, 5 out of the remaining 22 cars were not spared and were destroyed at the end of filming, mostly due to a rail accident which began as a fortunate stroke for the production crew but ended in them trashing perfectly good motors. In the spring of 1983, a train carrying Trans Ams from a plant to auto dealers derailed in California. Luckily, none of the cars were harmed, but due to state law, they were no longer eligible for sale. General Motors reached out to Knight Rider and sold the company 10 to 12 cars for a mere $1 each. However, there was one caveat. Since the cars were considered damaged, they had to be destroyed after their use on the show was completed. Of the 5 cars that survived, one was originally used in the Universal theme park and was sent to a theme park in Australia for the World Expo 88 in Brisbane, Queensland. It is now believed to be back in the United States. 2 cars, one hero and one stunt car, were retained by Universal for use in the entertainment center display. Both originals were later sold to a private collector in the U.S. Another car, a convertible, was sold to the former Cars of the Stars Motor Museum in Keswick, Cumbria, England, after disappearing for a while. When the museum closed, the convertible was then sold to the Desert Collection in Orlando, Florida. The 5th car is thought to be in the possession of a private owner in the UK. The Flag mobile unit semi-trailer truck owned by the Foundation for Law and Government was found in a field in Idaho. In the late 1980s, the 1978 Dorsey trailer was converted to transport race cars, and the rear ramp door that was initially used to drive KITT in and out on the series was removed a long time ago. Which of these facts resonates with you? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.